So, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in music?
Um, I mean, I've loved music for like my whole life pretty much. Since a kid, I've just like really, really young. I've known the lyrics, all the lyrics to a lot of different songs, and like I always used to love listening to music in a car. Um, so I always loved music, but like getting started my first time, like starting to make beats, it was like around 3 years ago, like late sophomore, junior year of high school. That's when I really like. That's when I actually like got FL Studio and started making beats. That's when I started getting into it.
And did you have any influences, or like, was there a certain song that made you want to be a producer?
Um, I wouldn't say a certain song. I definitely had influences from a lot of different people. Like growing up, I listened to Kanye, Graduation. My mom used to put Madonna on. Like I used to listen to Madonna, um, T Pain, a lot of like Drake, Lil Wayne, like all those different artists. Like I listened to a lot of them, and then what I really fell in love with mostly, like with music, was the beats, cause I just like how they made me feel. Like the beats is really what gives you that feeling. I feel like so when I decided that like I wanted to start to explore music more and like get into it, I was like, I kind of want to try making beats and see how that goes.
And when you first started, I know it's kind of hard learning. Like, I've tried to learn the programs and stuff. Did you feel like discouraged, or did you have someone showing you how to do it?
Nah, I didn't feel discouraged. I knew that like I was just starting, so I'm not gonna know nothing really. So really, I just learned off of YouTube videos and just messing with the program myself. You know, like trying things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So it was just like self taught and YouTube.
And when did you get your first placement, like as a producer?
Mm, my first placement, like first placement with like uh a major artist or just like any placement.
Just any placement where like where it wasn't your friend or something, like an artist you didn't know using one of your beats. They don't gotta be big or.
hmm Um, Probably when was that? Like 2019, maybe late 2019. Um, the artist is my friend now, but when we first met, we didn't really know each other. I just like I knew somebody that knew him, so then I tried to connect with him through that, and then we started making music, and then I ended up getting a placement from him there. That was my first placement. Who wasn't my friend?
What do you feel is like, do you need to have a certain chemistry to work with an artist? Do you look for certain qualities in an artist, or like a vibe when you're working with somebody, or are you just kind of open?
I'm always open. I'm always open to new experiences, working with new people. Um, because I like to experiment with different sounds too. So I like to work with different types of artists. But I think it is very important to develop a connection and relationship with every artist you really work with, because you know that's when it really starts to grow. And then the more y'all work together, the more you know what he likes, the more he knows what you do. So it's like it's a lot easier. You know,
Yeah,
it's a lot smooth.
I feel like you can hear it in the music when there's like that good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really like your project, The Come Up. And you have a lot of amazing features on here. You have Neek Bucks on here. You got Jim Jones on here. So can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about how that project came together?
So I kind of got tired of like reaching out to artists and like, hey, use my beats, and then nothing really goes anywhere from there.
Yeah.
So I thought like, why don't I just try to drop my own project? And when I first came up with that idea, I didn't really think about like getting the major artists that I did get on them. But at first, it was just like I just want to make a really good album that like showcases my talents as a producer, and like I feel like the artists that we picked were perfect to show that like they just went so well with the beats. It just it just worked out really well.
Yeah, I really like the Neek Bucks track was my favorite. And it was really cool because I feel like the first two songs are kind of like a triumphant sound or like a bold sound, and then you went into like smooth sounds, and so it really did show your versatility as a producer. Is it anything that you like do to create that, or like is there a way that you get inspired to have that variety in your sound?
Um, well, I mean, like I said, I used to listen to a lot of different types of music growing up. So when I started producing, I did notice that like a lot of major producers have their own signature sound that they usually stick with. But because I was starting and like I just was like trying to get to know how to make beats and like how the different types of beats work, just like with the drums and like the bounce and stuff. So I kind of wanted to spread myself out and like experiment with different types of beats because I feel like even though it's really important to have your own sound, versatility is really important too because you know when you start getting a lot of artists hitting you up asking for beats and stuff, they're obviously not going to all like the same types of beats, so you got to be able to you know put your own flavor in them but also cater to the artist.
And I know a lot of producers are going to be watching this. So do you have any advice? Because you got a lot of big names on onto one project, and also it's formatted in a way where you're an artist as well as a producer. So can you talk a little bit about that and like how someone else could set up something like that?
um yeah, that was a little like unconventional, I guess, producer wise. um I mean, advice for placements, I would say to, in my opinion, to not really try to go for placements. I think it's better if you just work with an artist, develop a connection with an artist, and continue to build with them from there, from the ground up. But for that tape, that was a lot of just working with the connections that I had and, trying to build a connection with the artist themselves as well. And, you know, I'm lucky that I had a lot of people around me to help me out with that, to line things up for me. Um, but yeah.
And can you talk? I know you were an apprentice for Arsonist.
Yeah,
Can you
Arson, he
can you
makes
talk
it.
about your relationship with him and how that came?
Yeah, I didn't know him before I met him. And obviously he didn't know me, but I did this apprentice program that he was doing for producers just to, you know, drop some gems and like give people some keys on producing and how to work around the industry and stuff. So when I first went there, um, I brought a flash drive with my music, with some of my beats, and he played it there and he was rocking with it and he was like, you nice. And back then it was just like I was like a year into making beats, so I was still pretty like new to it. So he was like, for how long I've been doing it, I was actually really good. So he was rocking me with that, and then I continued with the program. There was like a couple, like we did like Zoom calls and stuff, like just so he could help me out with like my next steps. Um, and then from there, it just started to become like a friendship. Like I pulled up to a studio a couple times, chilling, um, watching him make beats. It's always like you could learn so much from watching a producer like that making beats. Like just soaking everything in. But nah, yeah, he's definitely a really, really, really genuine dude. Really good dude. Appreciate him a lot.
That's great that you had somebody kind of show you the ropes, like as you were coming up. And so, do you have an opinion on producers like using or like overusing loops or making their own or using real instruments? Do you have a preference?
I don't really have a preference because like I make my own like melodies and loops, but I also sample a lot. I have used loops before. One thing I would say is just don't really rely on loops because, in my opinion, you want to be original with your music. So you don't really want to rely on loops because I don't know. I don't really, I don't know. But I feel like it's also important for you to know how to make your own melodies and stuff. Cause if you want to make loops, you're gonna have to know, the keys and like stuff like that. But I mean, I've used loops. I don't really have anything against loops like that. I just say that you got to know how to do both. Like at least be able to do melodies on your own.
And do you have any advice as far as just mentally um, staying motivated as a producer or just in the music industry in general?
Yeah. Something I kind of struggle with sometimes. You just gotta stay patient, and you gotta understand that you're not gonna see results immediately, and essentially the goal is the process. So like your goal shouldn't be like you could have goals that you want to reach, like I want to get a Grammy, or I want to work with this artist, that artist. But if you don't see results right away, you shouldn't get frustrated, because at the end of the day, the goal is the process. Like within the process, you're learning things that's going to help you in the future. So that's probably my biggest advice. Just you know the the goal is going to come,
Mm.
with the fame, the Grammys, whatever you're reaching for is going to come. You just got to stay patient and appreciate the process.
That's great. That's really good advice for anybody. But and now I just want you to do like a little drop for yourself so you can say like, "Hey, this is Cam on the track." Oh, and before we do that, do you want to tell us a little bit about your upcoming project?
Yeah, I got a new project. It's dropping Wednesday, October 6th. It's called Lost in the Nine. It's a project. It's a collab project with my boy Saint Vincent. Um, some real heat. I'm really excited for that. I'm super excited for that project to drop. I can't wait.
That's so. So what's the project called?
It's called Lost in the Nine.
Lost in the Nine. Okay, that's fire. So we definitely gonna look out for that. So now, if you just wanna promo that yourself, like this is Cam on the track. Look out for project, and you're watching your plug's favorite.
All right. So this is Cam on the track. At Cam on the track on IG, Cam on the track YouTube. I got a BeatStars, Cam on the track. Go get my new project out now, The Come Up, featuring Neat Bucks, Jim Jones, Axel Leon, Murder Mook. And look out for my next project coming up, October 6th, Lost in the Nine. It's with St. Vincent. We going up. I also got merch. Actually, it's what I got on, CODT, this merch, Came on the track. I also got the Come Up merch. It's tees. I got hats, dad hats, snapbacks. And we got merch coming up for Lost in the Nine too, so watch out for that too. This is your plug's favorite.